Our investigators, working feverishly and fervently, have spoken to or contacted almost 3,200 students and 200 staff and faculty. We do have 7 people that still remain in the hospital. Thank the Lord that we have not added to our list of casualties. I wanted to clear up some rumors, innuendos, misinformation that might be out there. The killer never was in possession of a gas mask or any type of smoke grenades. We did recover a balaclava, which for those of you who might not know is just a face mask with eye slits. Again, there was no gas mask or no gas grenades at any time. We heard that there were questions that the media had about where our school resource deputy was. Our school resource deputy, Deputy Peterson, was on campus. He is armed, and I believe the campus at Stoneman Douglas is approximately 45 acres. He never encountered the gunman. He never encountered the killer. Every day we're learning something more and more about the killer. Through search warrants, we've uncovered electronic devices and cell phones that tell us a little bit more about him. I will not be speaking specifically about either of these devices as the investigation continues. We have uncovered at the Broward Sheriff's Office that we've had approximately 20 calls for service over the last few years regarding the killer. We will continue to follow up as we do with any investigation. We want to try and find out why this killer did what he did, what we could learn from it, and how we could keep our kids safe moving forward. So every one of these calls for service will be looked at and scrutinized. If we find out, like in any investigation, that one of our deputies or call takers could have done something better or was remiss, I'll handle it accordingly. At this time, I'd like to bring up Rob Lasky, Special Agent in charge of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Good afternoon. Have you seen earlier today the FBI released a statement regarding information provided to our public access line on January 5th of this year? The caller provided information about Nikolas Cruz and the potential of him becoming a school shooter. Under normal protocol, this information should have been provided to the Miami field office. There, appropriate investigative steps would have been taken. The FBI has determined that protocol was not followed. The information was not provided to the Miami field office, and no further investigation was conducted at that time. The FBI is still investigating the facts of this situation. We will conduct an in-depth review of our internal procedures for responding to information that is provided by the public. The FBI remains dedicated to keeping the American people safe. On behalf of myself and over 1,000 employees of the Miami field office, we truly regret any additional pain that this has caused. The men and women who work in the Miami field office are part of this community. We walk the same streets. Our children attend the same schools, to include Stoneman Douglas. We worship at the same places. We are part of this community. As this community hurts, so do we. I want to thank you for your time, and God bless.
Can you take questions about that?
Before we take questions, I did want to acknowledge I am so blessed to be able to stand here right now and tell you that the son of one of our deputies was released from the hospital. He is on the mend. He will heal, and I pray one day he will be going back to Stoneman Douglas. Behind me is our Undersheriff Steve Kinsey, our Major Nicole Anderson, and our Colonel Jack Dale, who provided exemplary leadership, incredible leadership, as we continue to work through this tragic event. To my right is former mayor of Parkland, current county commissioner from Parkland, Michael Udine. And another group of people that I want to thank enormously for what they've done for Broward County during this is our staff at our public information staff. They have worked through some trying times. They've had request after request, and they stood tall, and they've been amazing. So I want to thank them as well. Any questions?
Chairman, sir, what were the nature of the 20 calls to service related to the shooter?
Assorted calls for service. I don't. Some of the calls for service we did not go out on. Some of the people that called in were from other states. And by a call for service, and that's a great question, a call for service simply means that our dispatch center received a call. It doesn't necessarily mean that we went out on something. It could have been a telephonic contact with a deputy from a person in another state, or we might have gone out there. But we are going to dissect each and every...
Alleged violence? Any violent behavior? Or
I don't know if I'm sure it talked about the psyche of the killer. It had to be related to the killer, but it was actually a breaking of the law or a crime that I can't tell you.
Was it related to him or an address where he was staying? Was this person specific?
My hypothesis at this time is probably both, but my hypothesis would be it would be more the killer than the address.
Sheriff, what do you tell these families when they hear this information about the FBI? Do you believe that this could have been averted had that call been acted on?
I don't think anybody could say that. We still want to encourage our community to see something, say something. You know, we want to learn. That's what these things are for. We were so much more proficient at this tragedy than we were at the airport. We took the things away. We learned. We trained. And that at the end of the day, make no mistake about it, America, the only one to blame for this incident is the killer himself.
Special Agent, so we asked Special Agent just one question. I mean, how does the Miami field office, I guess, wrap its head around that you guys were kept in the dark about this call, just to follow up on what my colleague here asked?
It's difficult, but we're professionals. Like I said, I have over 1,000 agents or 1,000 employees who come to work every day and do the best to protect America. Almost all of them, to a person, would be making more money in the private service, but they come to do this job because they love this job. They believe in the mission. They believe the FBI, and they believe in law enforcement.
How did you notify these families?
Can you walk us through the process? When someone would have called in, this was January 5th, who would have been on the receiving end? Who specifically had this tip line with the FBI? Where was the information? How was it not relayed? Who did not relay the information?
That's all under investigation. Normally, if a tip comes in, it involves a credible threat against life or limb. It's immediately elevated to a supervisor and then provided out to the field office, the appropriate field office.
How did the FBI today notify the 17 families? Did agents go to each home? Did you phone them? How were they notified? And what were those meetings like if they happened?
From what I understand, a phone conversation or a phone bridge was made to those families, given the fact that they were spread out all over, and we attempted to provide them the news prior to it hitting the public.
What would you say to people who believe the FBI missed a chance to prevent this tragedy?
The FBI, the potential of the FBI to miss something is always there. We do our best. We have some protocols to prevent these things. We will be looking into where and how, if the protocol broke down, and we will come back stronger than we ever were before.
Before I take the next question, I also want to say that as we look and exercise our due diligence, and we look at reports, and we look at what we did right or what we might have done wrong, and I'm not saying right now our deputies made any mistakes, but we're also going to look at if laws changed, if Baker Act laws changed, what might our deputies or what might the FBI or what might police have been able to do differently if they had more empowerment. So that's certainly something we're going to look at as well.
Is this more of a crime scene? Was Cruz targeting anyone when he was doing the shooting?
We have no reason to believe that right now. We have no reason to believe that right now.
We are going to similar to Bonner about January 5th. Did the sheriffs or any police agencies tell file for to get a similar tip on or about January 5th?
That's probably one of the 20 issues that we're looking at, calls for service. These are things that we'll look at, and as they come to fruition and they're investigated, we will be out here in a most transparent manner, letting you know what happened.
Or were they into other Broward agencies, these calls for service?
That's a great question. I don't know. I know that there were approximately 20 to BSO. I don't know if any came into any other
Have you guys
agencies.
put calls for service? Was this kid on your radar? Did you guys know about him, or?
Well, the school certainly knew about him. I believe that our school resource deputies knew about him, and as soon as he came onto the campus, I understand that the security guards tried to contact him. I'm not going to go into any more of that than now because we're trying to look at videos and piece that together. But it's quite possible that they knew who he was.
What happened at the school district when school administrators said that they needed to assess that this guy was they needed to threat assess, whatever that word is, and I'm sorry, the school district didn't follow up on that as well.
I can't comment.
Threat assessment.
I can't comment on that.
Special Agent,
I mean, is there something that the school district knew?
Can you talk about, Special Agent, the last fall, the tip about the YouTube comment that you spoke about yesterday that went nowhere? It sounds like this last fall YouTube tip and the January 5th tip are two separate and unrelated instances, but is there a pattern of a broken protocol there?
The difference is in the Mississippi complaint, okay, it actually made it to the field office, where in the January 5th call, the information never made it to the Miami field office, where the Mississippi complaint made it to the Jackson, Mississippi FBI field office.
And went nowhere from there because they could not trace the identity address?
We did the appropriate investigation of the information we had. At the time, there was not enough PII to positively identify the subject, so it got closed at that point.
I want to thank you all for being out here. We'll continue to keep you updated, and there will become a time as reports become available to us, and we'll let you know how our deputies or how any other law enforcement personnel performed in those reports. Right now, I spoke to one member of one of the deceased family today, and I asked you yesterday to use good judgment and to treat these families with respect and stay away from them and allow them to grieve, and you have. And I wanted to thank the media immensely for that. Thank you.